Okay, so imagine there are these three big places: Valhalla, Midgard, and Helheim. Valhalla is like the super pretty world where the gods live. Midgard is where we humans and all the animals are. And Helheim? That's the underworld, like hell, where the bad demons hang out. So, in this big meeting room in Valhalla, tons of different gods are all gathered around. Hermes and Zeus are right in the middle. Everyone calls Zeus the king of the gods, you know? The gods all meet up every 1,000 years to decide what happens to people. And people? We've been around for like 7 million years. Zeus asks all the gods if they should let people keep living for another 1,000 years. And guess what? All the gods vote to just get rid of everyone. They're just sick of watching humans be awful and never change, seeing people kill and hurt each other all the time. They're also tired of seeing the beautiful oceans and forests get all messed up with trash and oil, kinda like our own world, right? So it looked like all the gods agreed, and Zeus was about to make it final. But then, Zeus gets stopped by this Valkyrie chick named Brunhilde who yells out to him. Valkyries are like half human and half god, and they help guide the souls of cool heroes up to Valhalla. Her little sister Gal gets all scared thinking the gods are gonna get mad at them, cause Brunhilde spoke up. Brunhilde is like, hold up. She totally disagrees with the gods' plan. She thinks it's just plain mean to end humanity so easily. Instead, she suggests doing this thing called Ragnarok to decide everyone's fate. Ragnarok is basically a huge one-on-one fight tournament between the gods and people. There'll be 13 fighters on each side. If the gods win 7 fights, people get wiped out by the gods. But if the humans win 7 fights, they get to live for another 1,000 years. Turns out the gods actually made Ragnarok as a joke rule way back, because they never in a million years thought humans could ever beat a god. Brunhilde then starts making fun of all the gods, calling them chickens for trying to avoid Ragnarok. She knows the gods are super proud and get mad easy. They'd never just sit there after she said that. And guess what? Zeus and the other gods actually get kinda interested in her idea. Zeus then tells Brunhilde to go find the human fighters, cause she's half human and wants to save people. So everyone heads over to the Valhalla Stadium to watch Ragnarok. This guy Heimdall is the announcer for the tournament. He's been waiting forever to build this special horn that blows to start Ragnarok. The gods pick Thor, the thunder god, for their first fighter. They say he's the strongest Norse god and he's gonna use his crazy strong hammer called Mjolnir. Brunhilde picks Lubu for the first human fighter. Lubu is like the baddest warrior from old China times. He's always with his buddy horse named Red Hair. He's famous for using this giant weapon that can cut through the sky. A human monk starts praying to Buddha for help, but Brunhilde tells him to chill cause they're about to fight the same guys he's praying to. Heimdall finally blows his horn to say let's go, and the tournament starts. Thor and Lubu start walking towards each other, giving off this super intense fighting vibe. As they start hitting and blocking each other, they get totally hyped up. This is the first time they ever found someone they couldn't just beat in one hit. Thor gets serious and gets ready to swing his hammer super hard with both hands. Before that big attack, we jump back in time to Thor when he was in Asgard, the land of the gods. Asgard had these tall walls that kept giants out for ages. Everything was chill until 66 giants jumped them. The giants smashed the walls and beat up the flying guards. They trashed a lot of Asgard and killed lots of people. The folks in Asgard weren't careful because they were used to things being peaceful for hundreds of years. They also never thought the giants would team up like that. Asgard was almost totally destroyed and everyone was losing it. But then Thor stepped in and fought them. He beat all 66 giants by himself using his hammer. But even that fight, he thought, was kinda meh. We're back to now, and Thor lets loose the big attack he was getting ready for Lubu. The whole stadium shakes from the crazy lightning attack, and the gods are like, yep, that's over. But wait, Lubu slashes back with his giant weapon and actually hurts Thor. And now we jump back to Lubu's past. When he was a kid, he was a strong boy riding a horse and knew he was super strong. He traveled all over Asia, trying to find someone stronger than him. He fought people and monsters just looking for a tough fight. He beat everyone and got super famous. Over 30 years, he got a ton of followers because he did so many strong things. The story everyone tells is that Lubu got caught and begged not to die at the end. But really, he let them catch him so they'd kill him. He was sick of his life being so boring, because he was the strongest guy around back then. The scene returns to the Lubu and Thor fight. They're both totally stoked and happy to fight someone so strong. Zeus is confused, because Lubu's weapon should have totally broken the second it hit a god's weapon. He looks at Brunhilde and thinks she did something. Her sister Gal is scared because Zeus is looking at them all smiley and weird. Brunhilde had already gotten her other 11 Valkyrie sisters together before Ragnarok. The Valkyries have a special thing they can do called Valander. This lets them turn into the perfect weapon for the person using it. Plus, the sisters each have their own cool power. Rangriz, the Valkyrie who turned into the giant weapon for Lubu, has this power called Shield Breaker. Thor's glove breaks when he tries to block Lubu's hit. The gloves are there to let Thor use his crazy strong hammer safely. That's because Mjolnir can totally smash continents and gets hot like lava. The humans in the crowd get all hyped up and proud because they're actually winning against the gods. Hermes tells Zeus that he thinks the Valkyries are turning into super god level weapons to fight the gods. But instead of getting mad, Zeus says he hasn't been this pumped up since the universe started. Thor's hammer falls down but starts glowing and pulsing with heat and energy. It makes sounds like a heart beating and everyone in the stadium can hear it. Thor is happy the hammer finally woke up from being asleep. Brunhilde and Gaul are totally shocked at how scary the hammer looks. Zeus explains to Hermes that the story everyone hears about those gloves is wrong. The gloves aren't to protect Thor from Mjolnir, they actually hold back Thor's strength so he doesn't break the hammer before it wakes up. Thor takes off his other glove and throws it down, and it makes a hole in the ground where it lands. Then he picks up the woke up Mjolnir and gets ready to smash Lubu with it. Brunhilde gets the list of which gods are fighting next, right after. She's pumped, thinking maybe people will call them god killers one day. Hermes gets the list for the humans and shows Zeus. Zeus gets excited when he sees the names. All the gods are stoked to see Thor finally get serious. Thor tells Lubu not to die and throws the supercharged hammer at him. This famous hammer almost never missed. Lubu just barely dodges the hammer as it flies past him and heads toward the people watching. Lubu sees his chance and runs at Thor while he can't defend himself. Just before he hits him, the hammer flies back like a boomerang. Lubu figures this out and uses his weapon to dodge the spinning hammer. Thor catches the hammer, but that's the tricky part. Catching the hammer gives him crazy speed and power to hit back even harder right after. Even the other gods haven't seen Thor's super duper attack before. Lubu runs straight at it and takes it head on. And then, boom! Huge explosion. A huge explosion from the two super strong guys hitting each other shook the whole Valhalla stadium. Everyone, gods and humans, gets pushed back by the force. Get this, Lubu actually stops Thor's big attack with his giant weapon. The people watching are like, whoa, and also super hyped by that. But then everyone sees that Lubu's leg bones snap from the power of Thor's hammer. Lubu tries to use his weapon to stay standing but falls because his legs are broken. Brunhilde and her sister Gaul get worried when they see that. Just as Thor is about to finish him, Lubu's horse runs over to help him. The humans watching start cheering. You can tell they don't want to give up hope. Lubu somehow gets up even though his legs are broken. He gets on his horse red hair and uses him like his new legs. Zeus lets it happen, because he figures the horse is basically just Lubu's legs now. Lubu remembers when he was a kid and got excited seeing lightning hit a tree. After that, he thought maybe there was someone amazing up in the sky. When he got older, he'd train on cliffs, swinging his giant weapon tons of times and breaking them. He had lots of new weapons to replace the broken ones. He trained no matter what, day or night. Finally, he came up with a move called Sky Eater that could cut the sky in half. He looked up at the sky thinking that he'd never get to use his perfect move. But now, he gets pumped as he runs at Thor, because he finally gets to use Sky Eater on someone strong for the first time. Thor also gets hyped seeing Lubu can still fight. Thor and Lubu both get ready for their biggest moves and see who's stronger one more time. Then the two crazy strong powers hit each other, sending light shooting up into the sky. Everyone watching just stares, waiting to see what happens. When the light clears, we see Lubu's weapon is broken and his arms are gone. Even after losing like that, Lubu is super happy, because he knows he gave everything and pushed himself to the max. Lubu then runs at Thor, letting him finish the awesome fight. They announce that Thor won the first fight of Ragnarok. The gods are hyped and cheer about winning. The humans have a drink for their hero, Lubu. Thor looks at what's left of Lubu and feels sad because he thought of him like a friend. Just as he's leaving, Redhair and Lubu's crew run at Thor, even though they know they'll die. Thor happily finishes them off, kinda like giving them to Lubu. Their souls just disappear, cause once you die here, you can't come back. Gaul starts crying, cause they lost the first fight. Brunhilde and Gaul head back and figure out who's fighting for the humans next. Brunhilde picks a guy who totally hates gods more than anyone and is like top guy, or file number, 1 inch. Heimdall announces the start of the second Ragnarok fight. He also says the gods fixed the stadium after that first crazy fight. Everyone watching, especially the gods, gets hyped for the next fight. Heimdall calls out the next fighter and says Adam is up for the humans. Everyone knows him as the first guy ever, the dad of all humans. He's blamed for eating the fruit God said no. 2 and 4, hating gods. He fights mostly with his hands. Heimdall then announces that the biggest Indian god will fight for the gods. But no one shows up, and someone tells him the fighter's changed. Hermes is seen playing the violin for Zeus's super fancy entrance. Zeus dances to the music, and they say he's the dad of all the gods. He's also the god who totally beat his own dad, Cronus, and just made everything in the universe because he felt like it. Zeus goes from being all skinny to super big and muscly. All the gods get super excited to see Zeus fight in Ragnarok. They even have fireworks for Zeus. Brunhilde isn't expecting Zeus to fight this soon and gets worried. We find out the god who was supposed to fight was Shiva, but on his way there, Zeus stops him. Zeus tells Shiva he'll fight instead, and Shiva gets mad because he hasn't been this hyped in ages. Shiva says, "No way," but Zeus just pushes him down. Shiva almost starts fighting Zeus about it, but decides to just let him have this one. Hermes was excited hoping to see them fight, but felt let down when Shiva just gave in to Zeus. The stadium shakes with excitement and energy as Zeus and Adam get ready to fight. Zeus warns Adam before it starts that if he doesn't have a weapon like Lubu, he's totally gonna lose. Adam points up to this Valkyrie, Regenleaf, who turns into a knuckle thingy for Adam. Zeus thinks Adam's got a decent weapon and decides he'll just fight with his bare hands. Adam tells Zeus he's gonna be sorry he didn't use a weapon. Zeus starts the fight by jumping at Adam and punching super fast, but Adam easily dodges Zeus's punch. The humans in the crowd cheer because he dodged Zeus's hit. Ares and Hermes think it's funny how hyped the humans are getting just from Zeus's little warm-up punch. Zeus throws a bunch of punches at Adam, but Adam keeps dodging them all. The punches get faster, but Adam dodges every single one. Zeus tries different things, like kicking, but Adam just jumps right over him. Zeus then tells Adam he can't win if he doesn't hit back. Adam throws a punch back and scratches Zeus's face. Zeus is surprised by how fast he is, but also sees what he's doing. He dodges some of Adam's first punches but can't keep it up as Adam just copies Zeus's moves from earlier. He hits Zeus with every single punch. Adam finally ends his combo with a kick that hurts Zeus and tires him out. The humans are happy because it looks like they're totally winning. Gaul tells Brunhilde she was worried at first because Adam went in almost naked. Brunhilde tells Gaul that Adam can use God's moves because God made people to look like him. Adam can copy and do all their moves because he's basically a copy of God. His special thing, seeing moves and copying them, is called divine reflection. Zeus says he hasn't had this much fun in forever. Just then, he starts using his feet to move super fast and tries to kick him. Adam dodges and copies Zeus's foot moves and kick, sending Zeus flying. Zeus slams into the side of the stadium from Adam's hit. Ares says it's like Zeus is fighting himself. Zeus's muscles get huge because he's getting excited fighting Adam. He dares Adam to see if he can copy his next move. Zeus's fist starts glowing with power. Ares and Hermes are surprised to see him use that move on just a human. It jumps back to Zeus when he was young and beat his dad, Cronus. Even though he won, Zeus got hit super hard by Cronus. Zeus can now do the same move, a punch so fast it goes beyond time itself. He throws this crazy strong punch at Adam, but Adam hits him back with that exact same punch right in the face. Everyone is totally shocked. The scene ends with Zeus knocked out on the ground. Okay, so before, Zeus, the dad of all gods, and Adam, the dad of all humans, faced off in the second Ragnarok fight. After hitting each other, Zeus got knocked out on the ground by Adam's crazy punch. It was the big punch Adam copied from Zeus using his divine reflection thingy. Ares explains that even though he's the god of war, before he even knew it, Adam punched Zeus's face backwards. They hit each other so fast, lots of people couldn't even see it. Hermes explains to Ares what really went down. Adam just barely dodged Zeus's move, but at the same exact time, he copied it and used it back on Zeus, knocking him out. Ares starts shaking, thinking even if he trained for 1,000 years, he probably couldn't beat Adam. Heimdall runs over to yell to everyone that Zeus got knocked out and is down for the count. Shiva gets upset seeing Zeus on the ground. Gaul is surprised the copycat beat the real deal. Brunhilde tells her the reason Adam is so strong is how much he hates gods. It jumps back to way back when Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden. They lived peacefully with the animals there. Eve, Adam's wife, is seen in the gods' court, accused of eating the fruit God said not to. The snake blames her, saying he saw her doing the bad thing. He wanted Eve for himself but couldn't. So the mean snake lies and blames Eve so she gets kicked out of the garden. Since everyone there was a god and she was the only human, it was pretty clear she was going to be found guilty. She feels totally helpless because she knows what's coming. The decision comes down and Eve gets kicked out of the garden. Right after, Adam beats up the giant guard and walks into the court. Everyone goes quiet and is shocked as he just grabs baskets of the fruit, eats it, and spits it out. Adam tells Eve he's leaving the garden with her. The snake gets furious because Eve will still be with Adam, so he tries to kill them. Adam quickly uses his divine reflection, copies the snake's claws, and rips the snake to pieces. Adam and Eve leave the court and the garden to make their own happy place. Brunhild, Gaul, and all the humans start cheering and laughing, thinking they totally won this fight. But Zeus stops Heimdall just as he's about to say Adam won. Zeus gets back up and tells Adam he doesn't see hate in his eyes, no matter what people say. Adam explains it's just normal for a dad to protect his kids. All the humans are touched by Adam's words and start praying for him to win. Zeus is sweating a ton and starts steaming. His body starts getting smaller and keeps letting out steam. Loki, the trickster god, joins Odin. Zeus gets serious when fighting, which hardly ever happens. Zeus moves weird because his body is changing into its scary final form. Brunhilde gets worried because she and her sister just naturally start shaking, seeing how Zeus looks now. Zeus smiles, liking his new look. Hermes guesses Zeus can't stay like that for long because he's already messed up. Zeus throws strong punches at Adam from his squeezed up muscles. Adam dodges and hits back with the same punch he copied from Zeus. Zeus keeps getting hit by Adam's copied punches. Brunhilde starts freaking out because she sees what Zeus is doing. Adam, using his divine reflection thingy, is starting to hurt him. Brunhilde thinks Adam is getting too hot because he keeps copying god moves as a human. Loki thinks Zeus is also getting too hot and taking hits even though he's pushed to the max. It turns into a fight about who can last longer and take more hits. Loki gets excited, wondering who's going to be the last one left. Adam starts bleeding from his eyes and body straining so hard. Zeus finally lands a hit that will kill Adam, but Adam just keeps attacking. Adam can't really do anything now and just tries to block all the hits. Even though he can't see, Adam doesn't stop. He grabs Zeus's hair and they just keep hitting each other hard. Zeus finally falls to his knees and turns back into his normal self. All the gods get worried for Zeus, but then it turns out Adam was already dead. Even when he was dead, Adam's body just kept throwing punches at Zeus. Heimdall announces that Zeus and the gods won the second fight. Adam's kids are sad he died, but they stand tall and proud, learning from Adam how to stand up to gods. Gaul's other sister Hrist gives her a hug, because she's sad about losing another one. Brunhilde is super stressed out about losing again and starts eating tons of pies. While they're figuring out who's next, this guy Kojiro Sasaki says he'll fight. The Valkyries are confused because usually only people in their peak form get picked for Ragnarok, but Sasaki looks kinda normal. Brunhilde gets up and knocks over some milk, but Sasaki catches it perfectly with his sword. He doesn't even spill a drop and then drinks it all. He tells her that 400 years have passed, and he's been training with his sword non-stop. He also says he's still getting better, and this is actually when he's strongest, which makes Brunhilde happy. So for the third Ragnarok fight, everyone notices the stadium now has ocean water in it. Heimdall announces that Poseidon will fight for the gods. He's Zeus's brother and god of the sea. Everyone calls him the king of the ocean. The water in the stadium splits in half as Poseidon makes his big entrance. The humans and even the other gods get scared just looking at Poseidon. Heimdall then introduces Sasaki as the human fighter. They call him the biggest loser ever, but every time he loses, he gets better and becomes a stronger sword guy. Lots of humans are like, nah, Musashi is the real strongest sword guy. The stadium gets quiet after Sasaki pulls out his sword and makes the water calm down. Musashi and other sword guys start tearing up seeing him like that, seeing the level they wish they could get to. Heimdall signals for the fight to start. Everyone is confused because they both just stand there, not moving at all. Sasaki pictures in his head a way he'd get stabbed by Poseidon if he just ran at him. He starts sweating, trying to figure out different ways to hit Poseidon, knowing none of them would work fast enough. Since the fight started, Sasaki has already been killed by Poseidon 18 times, just in his head. Gaul tells Brunhilde it makes sense why they call Poseidon the scariest of the 12 Olympus gods. Brunhilde tells Gaul that originally there were 13 Olympus gods, but Poseidon killed one. The god was Adamas, Zeus and Poseidon's older brother. Adamas was mad that Zeus became the top god after beating the Titans. He let the Titans out and planned to fight against Zeus. He tries to get Poseidon to join him, but Poseidon thinks Adamas is pathetic. Poseidon tells him gods are perfect already and don't need a team. This makes Adamas furious, and he tells Poseidon to look at him and show some respect. He remembers Poseidon never looked him in the eye when they were kids. The only time he looks at him is when Poseidon kills him. They changed the story later to say there were only 12 Olympus gods at first. Back then, Zeus was hoping he and Adamas would team up, but it all ended when Poseidon killed Adamas with just one hit. Hermes tells Ares that no one would dare argue with Poseidon, not even the other gods, and that Poseidon is the most god of them all. Sasaki thinks it's kind of funny that Poseidon won't even look him in the eye. The scene ends with everyone being surprised that Sasaki just sat down in front of a god during the fight. Okay, so last time, the third Ragnarok fight started with Poseidon and Sasaki. Everyone was confused why Sasaki just sat down during the fight. Back in the day, young Sasaki was learning from this famous Japanese sword guy. The nephew of the boss of the sword school beats another student and complains about Sasaki being late. He dares Sasaki to a fight with wooden swords. Sasaki blocks most of his hits but finally loses, because he gives up. Master Saigon asks him, "Why'd you give up?" Sasaki explains he can't beat that guy even if they fought 100 times. Not how he is right now. Everyone at the school thought Sasaki just wasn't good at swords. Sasaki starts trying to figure out how to beat him. He starts training in the woods and watches how animals fight. Sasaki's real talent was getting better at winning just by losing a bunch. After 6 months, Sasaki came back to the school. He tells that guy that after thinking about it a lot, he figured out how to beat him. In his head. That guy gets mad about that and attacks him. But for just a second, he felt like he would have died if he kept attacking. Sasaki then asks Master Saigon for a fight, and he says yes. Saigon gives off this crazy, intense fighting vibe that totally excites Sasaki. After Sasaki lost that one, he stopped coming to the school again, but this time for a few years. Saigon went blind but finds Sasaki in the woods because he was worried. Sasaki says, "Hey," and brings him in. Saigon can tell how much Sasaki trained in the room, fighting imaginary battles, by feeling the cuts on the walls. Even though he's blind, Saigon wants Sasaki to teach at the school, but Sasaki says, nah. Instead, he wants to go travel and lose even more so he can get stronger. He went looking for the best sword masters and kept challenging them to fights, but lost every single time. He kept using those losses to get better so he could finally beat them. In his head. That's why they call him history's biggest loser. The gods are excited to see what Sasaki will do against Poseidon. Sasaki starts with a strong downward slash, but Poseidon dodges it. Just as Poseidon is about to hit back, Sasaki uses his crazy trained body to change where his sword is going, which is super hard to do. He not only cuts Poseidon's hair off, but also makes him finally look at Sasaki. The Valkyries and humans start thinking, maybe they can win. Sasaki thinks the sword, Hrist, she first turned into is the perfect one for him. The gods are shocked because Poseidon starts walking towards Sasaki on his own. Poseidon throws a bunch of super fast jabs with his sharp fork thingy. Sasaki dodges all of them, not because he saw them coming, but because he knew they were coming from all his practice. Brunhilde explains what Sasaki was doing. He basically made a copy of Poseidon in his head the second he walked in. He ran over 1,000 of Poseidon's fight moves in his head from the moment he saw him. After Sasaki dodges everything, the stadium gets quiet, and then Poseidon starts whistling and suddenly he's doing stuff Sasaki didn't predict at all. Poseidon lets loose a super duper fast jab that Sasaki can't dodge. All the gods get hyped seeing Poseidon winning and cheer really loud. Poseidon gets annoyed and makes them quiet just by looking at them. Poseidon then jumps up and sends tons and tons of jabs down on Sasaki. Sasaki dodges and blocks all his hits, getting better each time he blocks, getting closer and closer to being like a god himself. But just when he thinks he's figured out all of Poseidon's moves, Poseidon does something Sasaki totally didn't see coming. Again. Sasaki tried to cut him, but Poseidon dodged. Finally, Poseidon breaks Sasaki's sword with his fork thingy. The Valkyries and humans start losing hope, because Sasaki can't win without a god-level weapon. As Sasaki sees the reflection of Hrist on his broken sword, he remembers way back many years ago, Sasaki challenged Musashi to a fight. Sasaki almost finished him, but kept fighting, because it was just too much fun. He managed to cut Musashi's face, but eventually got cut down himself. Even though Musashi died, they both respected each other and had the best time fighting. Sasaki walks over and picks up the other half of his broken sword on the ground. Both pieces start glowing with energy and turn into 2 new swords. Brunhilde tells Gaul that Hrist can turn into 2 weapons because she's got 2 powers inside her. Sasaki gets ready to fight again. As he keeps batting away Poseidon's strikes, he starts looking just like Musashi did. Musashi mentioned that Sasaki was using skills he'd learned from the many fighters he faced before. Sasaki's twin blades begin slicing Poseidon repeatedly. The gods are amazed to see Poseidon getting wounded and bleeding. Poseidon starts whistling while using his blood to push his hair back. He thinks Sasaki is getting too confident and decides to remind him who's boss. Poseidon turns stone-faced and unleashes a storm of attacks on Sasaki. Sasaki tries hard to block everything and almost quits until he hears the crowd rooting for him. Sasaki eventually figures out Poseidon's pattern and gradually gets closer. Sasaki cuts off Poseidon's arms, one after the other. All the gods watching are stunned by this. Poseidon grabs his three-pronged spear with his mouth and tries to stab Sasaki, but Sasaki slices him apart. Humans everywhere celebrate Sasaki winning against the sea god. Heimdall officially declares the first win for humans in Ragnarok. The gods gather to plan their next step. Zeus tells the other deities present that humans are tough and they need to be serious. Shiva is super eager to fight the next round. However, the Greek deities want to strike back at people after Poseidon's defeat. Gaul notices Brunhilde having a quiet chat with Hermes. Heimdall says the next fight is set in a copy of London from the 1800s. He presents humanity's fighter as one of history's most infamous killers. Gaul says humans won the first match against the gods, but they have way fewer fighters left. Brunhilde agrees and expects the gods will field a very powerful fighter. While Gaul wonders who it is, Hercules appears, radiating power. Gaul happily says hello. Hercules shares that he'll fight next, but he'll argue for letting humans live. Brunhilde tells him to do well. Loki doubts Hercules' allegiance, but Hercules says he stands for what is correct. Brunhilde announces Jack the Ripper will face Hercules, and Jack himself requested the stadium look like London from the 1800s. And what you see now is a duplicate of London, England from the 1800s. It's a deity against a person in a brutal street brawl. Now, representing humankind in the fourth match is this fellow, the most notorious murderer throughout human history, Jack the Ripper. This is wild. Absolutely not. So that's the pick you went with? And now, the one looking to get revenge for his fellow god's loss? The fearless fighter who defeated both the Nemean lion and Cerberus. The one who gifted life to the sky and ground, the unparalleled champion, Hercules. The notorious killer embodies wickedness, while Hercules represents fairness. Arthur clarifies that Jack the Ripper killed at least 5 women who worked the night in London. Hercules proposes Jack's surrender, offering to persuade Zeus not to completely erase his soul in the dark realm. But Jack refuses and reveals his weapon, giant scissors. Hercules agrees and promises to use his complete power against him, but Jack flees. Enraged, Hercules follows him to a coffee house where he sets off a trap, but his divine strength is too great. Jack then shoots a cable and Hercules swings his club, smashing Jack's scissors. Jack pulls back and reaches into his bag to pull out knives, which astonishingly wound Hercules. Jack shows that his shoulder bag is his genuine weapon, able to create various sized weapons. Brunhilde says humans are great at wickedness, and as pure boundless malice, Jack is ideal against a deity. Hercules is shielding himself from Jack's knives. He's batting away each one. Jack keeps altering his throwing style. The Ripper is letting it rip. Jack! He looks scared now? End him. He's cornered. Hercules is steadily getting closer to Jack. Get lost. But Jack's throws are becoming unpredictable, making Hercules stay on defense. Despite getting wounded, Hercules moves toward Jack and strikes with his club. Jack stopped the strike using an umbrella, gaining a bit of Hercules' respect. Hercules then sends out a powerful wave of force that slams Jack into a close building. Jack takes out a fold-out knife. The viewers see Hercules' body art spreading out, leading Loki to ask what they mean. Ares explains that the markings show how much Hercules paid for his successes. He's explaining that Hercules finished the 12 challenges and learned the 12 godly skills, but each time he uses these abilities, his markings get bigger and cause intense pain. If the markings cover his whole body, he'll pass away, and his spirit will be erased. Even facing the risk, Ares trusts Hercules. He thinks Hercules' genuine power is his unstoppable will, something no deity can shatter. In the old city of Thebes, a young kid named Castor is trying to protect a wagon from mean guys who want to sell it for healing stuff. Alcides, who become known as Hercules, helps protect Castor but gets hurt. Castor asks why he fought, and Alcides says he wanted to protect what was fair. While looking for game, Alcides rushes a wild pig but is quickly taken down, and the mean guys mock him for being weak. They tell him to drink Zeus's blood, ambrosia, to live forever, but caution, he'll die if he's not a genuine hero. Castor tells Alcides the bullies are just repeating old tales and tells him to get stronger in his own unique style. Zeus asks everyone what they think about wiping out the Thebans for constantly causing problems. Some deities propose teaching humans a lesson, but Ares wants to manage Thebes personally. As Ares arrives, the people surrender, awaiting their predicted end, but Alcides steps forward, attempting to rescue them all. He finally drank ambrosia and began breaking down. Ares believed Alcides was gone, but he came back with a more powerful body. Ares' troops attacked Alcides, but he effortlessly defeated them with this fresh power. Alcides could fight at the same level as Ares. Zeus eventually ended the fight and turned Alcides into a god, but only if he guided people toward doing what is right. Alcides accepts Zeus' offer because he sees no other way to live, and he is reborn as the god Hercules. Jack and Hercules are in an intense battle. Jack is getting more fierce, flinging his fold-out knife and blades at Hercules. Hercules breaks the fold-out knife and swings his club at Jack, making him leap using piano wires. Huh? What's going on? Hold on, he's balancing on wires. I summon the wind caller. Jack talks about maybe getting rain in London and asks for an umbrella, but Hercules had already wrecked it. Jack uses the wires to fire knives at Hercules, causing them to bounce off the walls and strike him with growing speed. Hercules changes his club into a bird and uses the move from the sixth task, the Stymphalian bird, to send the knives back at Jack. Jack recognizes Hercules' incredibly strong will and says sorry for getting thrilled about ending a god. Using his unique eye, Jack sees and understands that Hercules genuinely possesses an unbreakable will and a lovely color. He talks about how much he looks forward to seeing what color Hercules will be when he passes before singing the song, "London Bridge is Falling Down." In London during the 1800s, young Jack looks for food in a waste bin, only to get hit by the bin's owner. Living with his mom in a place for working women, he sees a man coming out of her room. Jack asks if she's safe, but his mother holds him close, telling him it's all okay. Even with a wound, his mother cares for it and spends her pay to get him healing supplies. Despite their difficulties, Jack finds joy in his mother's affection. Jack brings home a large piece of cheese, but his mother is sad that a man named Jack Smith is getting married. Jack tries to soothe Mary, but she screams at him and wishes he hadn't been born, saying he was only a link to the man she loved. Jack sees her color become red, grabs her throat, and squeezes until her color changes to purple. He stabs her, saying he loves this new shade she's become. During the Jack and Hercules fight, Jack talks about his belief that everyone's feelings are mixed up when they're alive. But facing death, when they are overcome with terror, it's a lovely view. Hercules disagrees, saying he won't have any fear at all when his end comes. Jack climbed the large tower clock to get away. He threw the clock's round face at Hercules, cutting off his arm. It turns out Jack's gloves are his special power-up. Hluck, able to make anything they touch a sacred item, turning all of London into his weapon. Brunhilde was aware Jack's gloves were his special item and planned for him to win against Hercules. She made Hluck, the 11th Valkyrie, join with Jack, making her his power-up weapon. The fight between Jack the Ripper and Hercules keeps humans nervous, with Jack appearing to be ahead. However, Hercules will not quit, and Jack praises how he manages his feelings. Even seeing the worst feelings people have, Hercules sees their faults but still loves humanity. He starts his last level, Cerberus. I call the underworld dog. Is that Cerberus? The fight gets more fierce, with Jack using rubble as sacred weapons, even a sewer cover, but Hercules finally beats him with a strong hit. However, Hercules needs to beat Jack fast before his own strength takes over. Jack admits Hercules was better than he expected, but tries to flee using a climbing hook. But Hercules leaps up and lands a hit that makes Jack drop and get pierced by a metal fence. Even with his wounds, Jack cuts himself and gets ready to meet Hercules again. He tells his opponent that the whole city is his weapon, and then turns his cape into a sacred item to slice down the building behind him. The structure falls onto Hercules, but he appears from the debris looking very changed. Jack shares that Hercules made him understand what true love is like. He then fights Hercules hand to hand, using whatever he finds to block his foe's hits. Jack avoids Hercules' hits and tries to hit him with metal bars from a fence, but he only manages to lightly cut his opponent. Hercules answers with a strong hit that sends Jack to the floor, making the gods cheer while some humans show disappointment in Jack. Others were annoyed and thought about just fighting the gods personally. Surprisingly, Jack gets back on his feet and gets ready to fight on. During their fight, Jack the Ripper tries to hit Hercules but doesn't land the blow. Hercules lands a hit but ends up getting stabbed by Jack's blood, which turned into a sacred item. Instead of hitting back, Hercules hugs Jack and shares his love for people as he gives the task of saving humankind to Brunhilde. As he vanishes, Heimdall announced Jack won the 4th match, leaving everyone watching amazed. After his win, Jack asks Hluck how she feels, but Hluck answers with a question about how he feels after ending a deity. Jack doesn't know. Hluck says he's a sad person, unable to express feelings. She tells Jack to go to the medical area while she goes to wash up. Jack remembers Hercules swore to free him from his misery and hopes to see him again, as robbers attack. Some see Jack as a scary creature, while others find beauty in something dirty. At the same time, Brunhilde confirms her job is to save people, but cries when she shows respect to the fighters who lost, like Hercules. While Ares grieves for Hercules' passing, Loki shares that Jack had a smart approach the whole time. Despite knowing this, Ares still praises Hercules for his resolve. Zeus shows anger that humans are tied with the gods and wins, and wrecks the observation spot, promising to stop humans from taking the lead. Later, the Norse deity Loki asks Buddha near the fountain if the Valkyries were always so powerful in the matches, and suggests a possibility about a force called Samadhi that helps them stand against deities. Buddha snaps his candy stick, and the 7 fortunate deities show up saying they are like Justice Patrol and are getting ready to attack Buddha. Loki halts them, but then goes over to their side. Buddha declares if they want to fight, they should hurry up and go. He lets out his spiritual energy, making the gods feel the pressure. Kintoki assists Buddha, saying he doesn't like picking on someone when it's more than one against them. Suddenly, Soji and Okita also step into the battle to help Buddha, even though they are outnumbered by the deities. During a standoff involving Buddha, Kintoki, Soji, and Okita versus Loki and the 7 fortunate deities, Ebisu fires at Buddha, but misses. Loki attacks with linked blades, but Okita bats them away, and Soji gets close, but Zeus and Odin step between them. 2 gods say fighting without approval is silly. Odin stops the fight with an energy burst that ruins the gardens. Loki quits after sneezing, and the fortunate deities caution Buddha about those who aren't loyal as they exit. Soji, Okita, and Kintoki also choose to head back to their space. Kintoki says sorry to Buddha. Zeus suggests Buddha keep out of problems. Buddha laughs and says he only listens to himself. Gaul and Brunhilde are selecting the next fighter. They visit the room made to look like Japan and discover the fighter sleeping surrounded by women without clothes. Gaul wonders who he is, and Brunhilde shows her the huge sumo wrestler hand marks on the walls. Brunhilde wakes Raiden up and lets him know it's his turn for the match. Gaul understands Raiden is history's best sumo wrestler. Brunhilde then calls for Thrud, the 3rd Valkyrie. Thrud breaks through the door to the room because she's too large to fit through normally. She wonders if Raiden is bummed that she's such a giant woman. However, Raiden is thrilled and hugs her, saying large women are what he likes. Thrud tells him to stop messing around, but Raiden says he's completely serious. Seeing his earnest expression, Thrud softens and turns pink. Before the match, Heimdall gets started introducing the Gods fighter and reveals it's the deity of destruction. Every special move was forbidden for him because he's unbelievably powerful. At the East Gate, fighting for humans in match 5, from Japan, Tem Im and Raiden. Up next, entering from the West, representing the deities. Facing the unmatched grappler, he makes entire worlds and ruins them for kicks, only to remake and destroy them again. There's no doubt, fighting for the gods in match 5, from India, at last, it's my chance. It's the ultimate fight between a deity and a person. Ragnarok match 5, the destroyer himself, Shiva. Shiva's wife and boys cheer loudly for him as Raiden does a traditional sumo ritual before the fight. Raiden dropkicks Shiva right in the face, but Shiva remains standing and the match goes on. Raiden lands a punch, "Hey buddy, lots for you to learn." Zrinya, but Shiva stops it. However, Raiden instantly follows up with a hook punch and strikes Shiva, making him drop to his knees. He takes Shiva's head, aiming to end the fight, and knees him in the face. However, Shiva stops the hit and punches him in the chest, sending him soaring. Shiva said he wanted to keep having fun in this match while Raiden got into a more focused fighting stance. In Japan's Konohana province, January 1617, a baby called Taro Kichiseki arrived, but his muscles were uncontrollably strong, and his bones snapped when he first tried to walk. He kept going and eventually grew a new group of muscles known as the 100 Seals to counter the original ones. Raiden frees the 100 Seals, causing his muscles to become uncontrollable. To get them in line. Huh? For real? After all that, you're gonna fall apart. How rude. I'm relying on you. He managed to squeeze them until they obeyed. For that is Toman Raiden, the bringer. We're about to see Raiden, the person with the mightiest muscles in all of history. Raiden calls through and activates his incredibly muscular outer sumo belt, his power-up item. Brunhilde explains Raiden's muscles grow strangely quickly, and he can hardly handle them without the 100 seals. Raiden cautions Shiva about the risk and hits him with a Kiku Ichimonji move. Shiva survives Raiden's hit and answers with a rapid series of powerful cannonball-like strikes. Raiden drops to his knees but then grabs and breaks Shiva's arm. Shiva strikes back, but Raiden avoids it and lands many punches, but Shiva's hits become harder. "You have technique, but I do too. Bring it on. They seem like cannonballs. Keep it coming." And they start hitting heads back and forth. Shiva recalls his days with Rudra as the match gets more heated. Long ago, the deities in India were a confused group of thousands competing for authority, with no single ruler. Two fairly unknown deities, Rudra and Shiva, resided on Mount Kailash. Rudra practices by hitting a large rock while Shiva dances with creatures. When two other deities requested their help to beat the Asura Butcher brothers in a village nearby, Shiva didn't care, but Rudra talked him into joining. After beating the bad guys, Shiva and Rudra chatted about what they hoped for in life. Shiva says sorry for being the second amazing god to Shambhala, while Rudra shares his wish to be the top god in India and see things no one else has. Shiva wasn't keen on going with Rudra at first, but finally chooses to, because everything with Rudra is fun, and Rudra never changes his plans. Shiva and Rudra overcame 1,115 deities to reach the peak of the Indian gods. Rudra challenges Shiva to a battle to see who is the more powerful. Even though Shiva wasn't eager, he says, "Okay," knowing Rudra would never give up. The two fought intensely for days, with Rudra using his full might to try and win against Shiva. But ultimately, Shiva came out the winner. Despite his defeat, Rudra is happy with the match and glad he measured his strength against his buddy. The two keep going on their path, connected by their incredibly strong link as deities and friends. Raiden shares that he's liking the fight despite being hurt, and thanks Shiva for showing him a new level of fighting. Shiva and Raiden's battle keeps going, with Shiva's strong dance moves being too much for Raiden's sumo skills. Even with the obvious lead, Raiden uses his large arms like a shield, and surprises everyone with how tough he remains. At the same time, Shiva's body suddenly starts burning up from his really intense dancing. In a last-ditch effort, Shiva lands a strong kick on Raiden, but instead of collapsing, Raiden smiles while fighting. "How's it look? My dancing's quite hot, right?" Raiden's smile grabs Tanakazi's notice, and he feels Raiden's joy and fights with all his strength. When Taro Kichi was just 5, he saw some kids doing sumo practice, and after beating a few, Torikichi asked Taro Kichi to fight him. Even though Taro Kichi had a delicate body, he surprised Torikichi by sending him flying out of the fighting circle. His incredible power earned him the nickname Ogre from the other children. Taro Kichi asks his mother why the gods gave him this kind of body. His mother reminds him she prayed for him to be strong and told him to use it to aid others. Taro Kichi became known for being kind and always ready to assist by lifting heavy things. When a natural problem hits his hometown, Taro Kichi goes away to become a sumo wrestler and make money to send back. Although he didn't want to hurt others, he lost a match to Takakazi and found the sport really interesting. Taro Kichi begins training without stopping and finally learns how to use his power without hurting anyone. Taro Kichi became Raiden Tamiman and ruled sumo with his might, but he quickly saw he was picking on weaker folks and stopped using his strongest moves. Even so, he won most of his matches, 254 out of 285, and was called Raiden, the Unmatched. In the end, Raiden quit sumo without ever using his complete power. Raiden chooses to fight with all his might against Shiva. Raiden unleashes a potent open-hand strike on Shiva, blasting away 2 of his arms and sending him soaring. Shiva stands with just 1 arm remaining, and Raiden's attack was faster than sound. However, the impact of the strike makes Raiden's body tear apart, but Thrud keeps him together. Raiden tells Thrud to shift his muscles even more, putting his sumo career and life on the line. Shiva turns on Tandavikarma and becomes red as he heats up. Prepare yourself. Honestly, you're a massive pain, aren't you? Alright, let's do it. Those hits will turn his body to charcoal. Oh no. Are you saying Raiden can't possibly win? Brunhilde compares Shiva and Raiden, noting they both grow stronger by holding onto the hopes and goals of others. Raiden and Shiva trade strikes in a match that isn't going well for Raiden, because each time he blocks Shiva's hit, it burns his muscles. Shiva is mightier than before, but if he keeps pushing himself to burn, he will burn away. Raiden manages to shove Shiva back. As the Indian deities see Shiva starting to break apart, Rudra screams at Shiva not to surrender. However, Raiden felt the end was close and unleashed one last strike called Yategarasu. Shiva stops the strike with Tandava Loka, breaking Raiden's arm. Even though he lost, Raiden said he was thankful for the chance to fight with his full power and asked for Thrud, his power-up, to be released. Thrud refuses to separate from him. Raiden says to her he couldn't have wished for a better lady. Raiden accepts losing with no regrets and says goodbye to those he loves before Shiva ends him by cutting off his head. Shiva calls him a great man and thanks him for the most amazing fight he's ever had. Even though Shiva won, Ares and Hermes debate about how the battle might have turned out differently. The sumo fighters pay their respects to Raiden by stamping their feet. Following the intense battle, Shiva meets Rudra and the Indian deities, and Zeus arrives too to recognize human power. At the same time, Brunhilde feels sad about losing Raiden and adds a memorial for him, revealing her deeper feelings. Zeus looks for Buddha and asks him to fight in the 6th round, and even though he's not eager, Buddha agrees and even gives him a hug. Gaul overhears the fortunate deities chatting and gets spotted by Bishamonten and the rest, but Jack the Ripper shows up and gets their attention by offering tea. As the 6th match gets closer, Heimdall announces Buddha as the deity fighting, but Buddha shocks everyone by placing himself on the opposite side, stating he will fight for humans and threatening to end any deity who stands against him. The gods are furious at his statement, getting ready for a tense and critical battle. After Buddha made his statement, the gods immediately saw him as someone who betrayed them. Because of how loud it was in the stadium, Buddha got irritated and broke Heimdall's trumpet. Then he said that if the deities wouldn't rescue humankind, he would. He also said that if any deity attempted to block him, he would absolutely kill that deity. Odin couldn't hold back his fury either, causing him to unleash a seriously strong presence. Gaul also asked Brunhilde why Buddha picked at their side to fight on. Just a short while before the 6th fight began, when Brunhilde had just finished being sad, she and Buddha chatted. Buddha informed her that Zeus wanted him for the 6th match, but he made it clear he wished to fight with the human side. Since Brunhilde wasn't surprised by what he said, Buddha instantly figured it fit with what she had planned. So Brunhilde replied that she knew no one else in Valhalla held as much dislike for the gods as he did. He chuckled at Brunhilde's words and enjoyed her response. Heimdall tried explaining Ragnarok's rulebook to Buddha, that he couldn't switch sides, but Zeus, it turns out, didn't care if this was what Buddha wanted. He came down into the fighting area and walked towards Buddha and Heimdall. Even knowing this broke the Ragnarok rules, Zeus seemed even more eager for this event, like he was hoping to fight again. Odin suddenly spoke and asked Buddha if he was prepared to be against the gods again. Buddha reminded them that it didn't matter if they were buddies or foes, good or bad, deity or human. Nothing mattered but himself. Because of this, the audience, along with Loki, grew even angrier at him. When Buddha asked which deity would face him, Zeus had already made a choice. Suddenly, they heard a voice and saw overhead lights, coming from an airship. They saw the 7 happy deities, and as they landed, Zeus told Bishamonten to handle Buddha. Heimdall instantly announced that Bishamonten would fight for the gods, and that he wanted the remaining deities to leave the fighting area. This was the point where Bishamonten said that from the beginning, the 7 of them were actually just one being. Then he broke his armor and he let the other 6 happy deities merge into his body. The story goes that besides the 7 happy deities, there was one more with them, which is how the tale of the 8 fortunate deities started. But the truth was, it was just one deity, and his name was Zerofuku. Ares never imagined a deity like him existed, and Hermes had never seen him before, although he'd heard of Zerofuku. When Heimdall got the list of fighters for the 6th round from the officials, he announced the 2 names again. That was when Gaul figured out Zerofuku was the Zero Abisu mentioned. So Brunhilde told her that ages ago, people could still talk with other deities. This occurred because the other deities liked living in the human realm, and Zerofuku was one of them. One day, he went to a village and was shocked by the state of the people there. Using his ability, he took in all the misery from a child, making him get better instantly. He did this daily to free people from their hurt, but it gradually collected inside his body. After some years, it began significantly affecting his body. One day he visited the village he'd helped earlier to see how it was doing, but upon arriving, he was let down by what he observed, and that's when he understood what humans are truly like. Moments later, some people approached him, and he expected they would only ask for his assistance, but they were trailing Buddha. and he was shocked that even though Buddha's followers looked struggling, he could still see joy on their faces, unlike the people he had aided. Due to this, he asked Buddha why all the people with him were happy. So Buddha replied that he shouldn't try to force happiness on others, as it naturally arises from within. Feeling ashamed, Zerofuku quickly ran away. When he reached a lake, he couldn't control his emotions, causing him to change appearance and view people in a bad light. In just moments, he split into the 7 happy deities. As Zerofuku kept talking and putting the blame on Buddha, Buddha got irritated and kicked him. Then he asked Zerofuku if they'd met previously. After a moment, eyes appeared from his axe, and this made Gaul hide scared after seeing it. When Zerofuku attacked again, it hit the audience area because his weapon was extremely powerful. When Gaul looked closer, she noticed Buddha was shifting before Zerofuku even began his strike. Gaul recalled it seemed like Kojiro's skill, but Brunhilde said it was different from Kojiro's because he gained his through experience and tough training, while Buddha's was natural because he could literally see ahead, and it was named Akasha, pure understanding, Chok's future vision. At that moment, Zerofuku learned Buddha could foresee his entire attack, and to him, that felt unfair. Suddenly, Buddha perceived something. When Gaul saw Buddha wasn't moving anymore, Brunhilde instantly thought he must have seen something about to occur. Everyone was stunned by how gigantic the Misery Cleaver became, and only then did Brunhilde understand this was why Buddha stopped moving. But before the cleaver struck Buddha, he had prepared his 6-realm staff. When the cleaver struck him, he used Realm 4, also known as the Shield of Peace, to stop the attack. Brunhilde said Buddha's 6-realm staff was also a sacred item. Its shape shifts depending on Buddha's emotions. Since Buddha felt fear, or maybe protection, kindness, he could bring out the shield. When he pushed the cleaver back, Zerofuku altered its form, so Buddha also used Realm 2, which was the Beast Realm, and was named the Club of Freedom. Buddha felt the weapon wanted him to charge forward, so he followed it and hit back against Zerofuku's strike. Buddha was born named Siddhartha and was a prince of the Sakya family. Because of his position, he could have anything he wished, and with God promising he'd rule the entire world one day, a bright future was expected for him. He grew up just as many hoped, and because of this, the king, his father, could secure the future of their clan. The people he ruled loved him because he was kind. One day, watching a bird, he thought nothing could prevent it from being free. It was suddenly attacked by another bird. That's when he understood something. So he went to this place called Magadha, a big kingdom back in old northern India. King Jataka ruled it, and he was like a distant cousin or something. But Jataka was really sick, and as they talked, Buddha started wondering what the point of him even being alive was. He still had tons of big questions he couldn't figure out. A few days later, Jataka passed away. While they were heading to the big palace in Magadha, Buddha suddenly understood everything, like getting a huge light bulb moment. He got off his horse and just burst out laughing super loud, even though tears were running down his face. Then he went to where Jataka was and picked up his body. The king even tried to stop him, but couldn't. Buddha took him to the river and let Jataka's body float away with the water. After that, he left the palace and started traveling. On his trip, he saw some guys who were trying really hard to live without anything, like hurting themselves, and he gave food to one who was starving and fell down. He didn't think what they were doing was right, and he even saved a woman who was about to be used as a sacrifice. Brunhilde said that Buddha didn't like people who didn't want to be happy inside themselves, or anyone who tried to force what happens to others. Zerofuku changed his weapon again, but he still couldn't use it properly against Buddha. When Zerofuku made it into a sword shape, Buddha used one of his staff's forms, the Scythe of Salakaya, which is like the human part. They hit each other with their weapons until Buddha got a chance to really hurt Zerofuku bad, but Zerofuku didn't even care about the pain. Zerofuku then used this crazy attack called the Misery Cleaver Storm. When he attacked, Buddha used another form, the Vajra of Asura, like a shield against Zerofuku's non-stop hitting. When Buddha attacked, the cleaver suddenly went back to looking normal. Because the people watching were cheering for Buddha so much, Zerofuku got mad again and attacked Buddha, but Buddha just dodged it easily. Buddha told him he should love himself and said some other stuff that really ticked off Zerofuku. But when he looked at Buddha's face, he remembered how he used to dream of being like him, someone everyone loved. Because of that, the cleaver lost its power, and Buddha dropped his weapon too. Then they decided to keep fighting just with their hands. Zerofuku immediately ran at Buddha and they started trading punches. The fight was so intense, the people watching got totally into it. As they kept hitting each other, Zerofuku started feeling happy inside. For real! As soon as he got hit really hard in the face, Zerofuku went back to his original look. Zerofuku started talking about how he planned to start his life over, but he didn't notice that the horns that had fallen off him were coming back towards him. When they stuck back onto him, they suddenly got even longer and went inside Zerofuku's body. After that, 2 weird dragons came out of his body. When they were going for Zerofuku, Buddha tried to save him, but the dragons got to Zerofuku first. A round thing, like an egg, popped up, and when it burst, the people watching couldn't believe their eyes. Buddha quickly moved away, but not because he saw the future this time, but because he couldn't see the future of this thing. Brynhild was so scared she fell onto her knees because she had no clue what this creature was. Buddha asked this thing where Zerofuku was, and it immediately said that Zerofuku was gone. Then it said its name was Hajun. Buddha asked it what it wanted, so Hajun said he was super eager to try out his power. Ares asked if this creature was a god, but Hermes didn't know either. Suddenly, someone answered Ares. He said it wasn't a god. When Ares turned around, he was shocked and started sweating when he saw who it was. He immediately got up from sitting to give back the chair that belonged to this god. It turned out to be Hades, who came to Valhalla after hearing that Poseidon got beat. Zeus suddenly asked him what he knew about Hajun. Hades explained that Hajun was a legendary crazy fighter from the Netherworld, or Helheim. He said all the old stories around the world talk about 3 main places: the gods and souls place, which is Valhalla. Then the place for humans and creatures, which is Midgard, and the 3rd place known as Hell, or Helheim. Hades added that there's a story in Helheim that if the brightest light and the darkest shadow mix together, the horns of hell wake up and never-ending darkness is born. This was the devil king of the 6th heaven, Hajun. But even Hades, who's the king of Helheim, had never seen Hajun. He wanted to know why this being showed up now. After Hajun pulled out his weapon, he quickly attacked Buddha, who immediately blocked it. Then they started hitting each other back and forth. Even though Gaul thought Buddha was keeping up with Hajun, Brunhilde explained why Buddha couldn't use his special eye power. What she knew was that Buddha could first see the little light from a soul that's moving, but Hajun only had total darkness inside him. Buddha couldn't see anything. After they traded blows, Hajun decided to use all his power. He used a move like a demon drill or blaze of glory. So Buddha used his shield, but it still went right through it and hit Buddha's eye. Hajun planned to hit Buddha's head, but Buddha managed to move out of the way. The enemy pulled out a different kind of weapon, maybe his arm changed, and aimed at the spots Buddha couldn't see easily. Because of this, Buddha changed how he was standing, which Hermes noticed. Hajun's attack kept coming, and even though Buddha changed his angle, Hajun was still faster, hitting and hurting Buddha. Because of how strong Hajun was, Hades talked about something that supposedly happened in Helheim before he was in charge there. A long time ago, Hajun destroyed half of Helheim, but then one day he just vanished. Hundreds of years went by, but he still hadn't come back. Hermes asked why Hajun was here now. Hades had an idea why. He was thinking someone successfully got a little bit of Hajun, messed with it, and then put it on Zerofuku's head. There was a god Hades was thinking of, and Hermes also immediately knew who Hades was talking about. It was Beelzebub. Hajun managed to hit Buddha's foot, making him pull back first. Since Hajun kept saying the word judgment, Buddha thought Zerofuku was still alive. But according to Hajun, he had already eaten him. Then he said a bunch of mean things about Zerofuku that made Buddha angry. In his anger, Buddha decided that he would completely destroy Hajun. He used Realm 5, like the Hungry Ghost Realm. But because he was so mad, it turned into a shape that even he didn't recognize, and it was called the War Scythe of Salakaya. They both rushed forward at the same time, and Buddha used his Karma Destroyer attack, but Hajun just blocked it. Hajun was about to hit back, but it turned out Buddha had a follow-up move called Nirvana Achieved. Even though Hajun managed to block the attack with his hand, Buddha's weapon cut through it. Hajun asked Buddha what he wanted to say before he finished him. So Buddha repeated what he'd said before, that if the gods wouldn't save the people, then he would, and he would get rid of any god that got in his way. When Buddha was about to slice Hajun's hand, Hajun kicked him. Hajun couldn't believe that Buddha still had the power to hold his weapon even after all the damage he'd taken. He attacked him over and over, and Buddha tried to block it all. To the people watching and Ares, Buddha looked like he was losing, but Hades saw it differently. Hades could see in Buddha's eyes that he hadn't given up yet, and even Hermes and Zeus could tell that Buddha was planning something, maybe something to do with their souls being linked. With a powerful hit from Hajun, it pushed Buddha back, but he was still standing. Based on how Hajun reacted, Hades could feel that he was starting to get scared of Buddha. Hajun couldn't accept that he was feeling scared, so he ripped off one of his arms to use as a weapon. When he was about to attack, Buddha also rushed at him, but Hajun damaged Buddha's weapon, making it turn back into its normal stick shape. Hajun saw his chance and immediately attacked Buddha, and this totally wrecked Buddha's weapon. As Hajun was getting closer to him, Buddha woke up because of a light behind him. When he was trying to reach for it, he felt someone grab his hand, and he immediately felt normal again. When he looked at his hand, he just laughed, which made Hajun confused. Even the people watching were surprised that Buddha laughed out loud. When he got up, Hajun was shocked to find that Buddha was holding the misery cleaver, or what was left of it. He could feel that Zerofuku was there, and he used this special power like a power-up again. Then Zerofuku became his weapon. It turned into the sword of Mahaparinirvana, the Zero Sword. Using this new sword and Hajun's sword, they hit each other back and forth. Because of this, the whole stadium got louder, and one of the people cheering for Buddha was Jataka. While Hajun kept asking himself why Buddha hadn't been beaten yet, they both hit each other at the same time. Even though Buddha was giving everyone hope, Okita Soji and Kojiro weren't totally sure because of how much damage he had taken from his enemy. When Buddha ran forward, he felt the pain from his injury, so Hajun took advantage of this and attacked him. Buddha immediately blocked it, and when he knocked Hajun's weapon away, he attacked him right away, and Hajun couldn't dodge it. Zeus and the others were thinking that Hajun might finish the fight right there because Buddha didn't seem strong enough anymore. But Hades didn't agree. He said this based on watching how Buddha was hitting back, even when he had a chance to knock Hajun's attacks away. Gal also noticed that Hajun's attacks seemed to be getting less effective, so Brynhilde thought maybe Buddha could finally see his enemy's moves. Earlier, Buddha couldn't see them, because Hajun was just pure darkness, but things were different now because of the feeling he was showing, and that feeling was fear. As Hajun kept attacking, he actually managed to split Buddha, which shocked everyone. But Hajun was surprised to find out it was just a trick and Buddha was already behind him. When he was about to attack again, Buddha attacked first with his Mahaparinirvana move, making Hajun's body break apart. Hajun tried to attack Buddha, but before he could reach him, his body just disappeared. At that moment, Buddha saw Zerofuku for a second. He looked at him and you could see the happiness on Zerofuku's face as he was now with the 7 happy gods. After this, Buddha was announced as the winner of the 6th fight. The bird that Zerofuku had helped before landed on the cleaver-charmed Zero Sword. To show sadness for Zerofuku, and the people he helped also came. Brynhilde met Buddha, but after a moment, he fell down. Brynhilde immediately called for the medical team to take care of Buddha. Odin went to see Beelzebub to ask him if he was the one who brought Hajun back. He warned Beelzebub that no one should get in the way of his fight and plans, which Beelzebub didn't argue with. Since the score of the matches was tied, Zeus really wanted to win the next one. So Hades said he would fight in the 7th battle, and he also wanted to get revenge for Poseidon.